Hi, my name's Shaun Davey and I'm a landscape astrophotographer based on Exmoor. I'm rather privileged to live on Exmoor and be able to take photographs on Exmoor. And although Exmoor is one of the smallest national parks, the least visited national parks in the UK, it was the UK's first dark sky reserve. It has some incredibly dark skies where you can see hundreds of thousands of stars at night. This is a local resource it would almost be rude not to use and not to exploit in some way and take pictures of. So I guess I did a lot of film photography back in the 80s, and since that time I've sort of looked at different disciplines within photography and what I enjoy and what I don't. As well as landscape photography, I've got into landscape astrophotography. In other words, some picture of the ground at night with a night sky behind it, because I really love the context that gives to us as we sit here on the Earth surrounded by the infinity of the universe. One of the problems with landscape astrophotography is there's quite a range of brightness between the ground and the sky at night, more so than there is during the day. You need different exposures for the ground and the sky, and the other big difference is that the ground is stationary relative to the camera and the sky moves. So in terms of kit, what I would typically use is an ordinary DSLR. I happen to use Fuji. I use fixed focus, fast lenses, typically quite wide. And providing you've got an aperture of perhaps f2.8 or better, then you can get reasonable shots. The other key piece of kit though is a really stable tripod with a tracking mount on it, such that you can take pictures of the night sky at long exposures and the camera actually tracks the movement of the sky. I'd concentrate on the ground subject first and then work out what in the night sky can be lined up with that. And obviously we need to take into account sources of light pollution as well as the conditions in the night sky, what's where, what the weather is, what the wind is, and sometimes around here what the tides are, depending on where you're shooting. I take pictures of things like the northern lights when available. We have had some good shows of the northern lights over the past year or so. I guess I take the photos to, in the general sense, promote the night sky, and the more specific sense, promote Exmoor as a place to look at the night sky, being a dark sky reserve. I've got a few favourite spots. The Porlock to Exford Road is very good, Borough Engine House and Stoke Perrow Church. And of course there's Exmoor's got a dark sky trail, which is quite nice to walk at night. And I think a lot of the reason that they introduced that is to get people comfortable with the idea of going out at night. So it's got glow in the dark signs on it, so all the signs have got luminous paint. And it's about a mile's walk to a place called Larkbarrow, which is just out over the moor. It's not just about the night sky, it's about experiencing where we live at night. Yeah, quite a number of subjects. What you see through the camera is considerably more detailed than what you can see with the naked eye. I think people need to be prepared for that, and they sometimes aren't. The obvious one is the northern lights, where people think they're going to see more than they actually can when they see them in person, because the camera will pick up colours and detail that just can't be seen with the naked eye. So I think it's important that people who are going out recognise that they're not necessarily going to see what they see in the picture, but they're going to experience something which is just as interesting and just as cool as those pictures. I think taking the photographs is what makes me go out at night. What's important to me as a landscape astrophotographer is to place us in the context of the wider universe.
My name is Jo Richardson. I am a Fellow of the Royal Astronomical Society.
So my name is Pete Richardson and I'm Jo's husband.
In 2012 I founded a company called Space Detectives, which main aim was to go into schools and inspire lots of young people in astronomy and space science. Working with Exmoor National Park Dark Sky Reserve is something that we've been doing for an awful long time. We were with them right at the start in 2010 when they were first applying for their Dark Sky Reserve status.
My main area with Space Detectives is more the telescopes. For a long time I've been interested in astronomy and I've been doing astrophotography for about 20 years.
A lot of our work is event work based in and around Exmoor National Park's Dark Sky Reserve. Yesterday, which was Friday evening, we worked at Exford Bridge tea rooms with one of our other businesses called Wild About Exmoor. Tonight, slightly different, we're at Holworthy Farm, which is literally situated on the banks of Wimble Lake, and we're doing something quite unusual tonight. So rather than talking about stars and planets, we're actually going to be talking about the International Space Station, which is really cool because if it's clear at 9 minutes past 9 this evening, the space station will be doing a pass.
My astrophotography journey started, like I say, about 20 years ago, and I started out taking images of the planets and the moon with an 8-inch reflecting telescope. I just got the bug. I was amazed at what I could actually achieve in my back garden with fairly simple cameras back then. I was just using a webcam. There was a couple of images I've actually had in the final of the Astrophotographer of the Year competition. So there was one of Saturn, which I'm very proud of and still think it's one of my best images.
A benefit of spending time outside at night, the wonder of the universe around us, it makes you feel humble. It gives you a very different perspective of life. In terms of the wider public's interest in space and astronomy, I think personally over the last sort of 10 to 15 years that has increased. Anything that gets people to look up is, in my opinion, good. There's a very fine line between encouraging people to look up but actually over-egging it so that then they're set up for disappointment. As long as people are taking the interest to actually look up and find out about what they're looking at, I think that's really quite important. Because after all, the sky, 50% of our environment.
The reason why I love it, I just find the whole subject of astronomy really just totally fascinating because we're on this sort of voyage of discovery, aren't we, with it? And some of the biggest questions are still unanswered.
Even after sort of 14, 15 years of doing the job I do, every single day something amazes me about space and astronomy. So I love my job and it's really, really great to be part of space science education.